Hi, welcome to another video by PAC. This is a January edition of the PAC Guide to Night Sky. You can download the audio of this video on Spotify or Anchor and put on those earphones, listen to the audio and explore the sky yourself. In this video, we will be talking about the various stars and constellations visible in this month's night sky, and the ideal time to watch this is around 8 to 9 p.m. between the dates 5th to 21st of January, because in that time you will not have the moon to obstruct your view. So let's begin our guide to the night sky with all the stars and constellations that we can see for the month of January. We'll first look at the north, and from north, as in the previous video, we'll look towards the zenith. This month at zenith around 8 to 9 p.m. you'll find a small cluster of stars. You'll see 6 to 7 stars shining bluish in the sky and forming a very closely, tightly held group. This is Pleiades constellation. Oh, that's Pleiades cluster. The Pleiades cluster looks like 7 stars when you look through the naked eye, but if you have any optical aid, you'll find a lot of stars in there. In fact, there are over 1,000 stars in this cluster called the Pleiades or the Kritika Nakshatra in our Indian constellation system. Pleiades is also found in the Subaru logo, if you have noticed. This cluster is actually 444.3 light years away from us. So the light you see from these stars has taken 444 years to reach us. Once you've noticed Kritika at the zenith, we'll move towards the west as the stars in that region would be setting soon. To the west of Kritika, you have a small group of 3 stars forming a line with the tip bent towards the brightly shining Mars. This is the Aries constellation. Aries is the first constellation in the zodiac belt and is represented or picturized by a ram. Aries, the ram, lies just next to Pleiades towards the west, and if you move further towards the west, you will find the square of Pegasus, which was discussed in the previous video. The square of Pegasus is closer to the western horizon this month, and the 4 stars are shining brightly with the square visible in the sky. The 2 stars closer to the western horizon are the Poornaprajna stars, and the 2 stars away from the horizon are the Uttarabhadra nakshatras. Once you've located Pegasus, you will notice that from the top right star of the square of the Pegasus, you will find 3 stars forming a tail. We've shown this in the previous video, and you'll also find 3 more stars forming a dimmer tail to this square, forming a kite-shaped structure. The set of constellations forming the tail of Pegasus is actually the Andromeda constellation, and within this constellation, from the second star of the tail, you will notice a little towards the inward direction a small hazy patch in the night sky. Visible even in suburban areas, this is the farthest object the eye can see without an optical aid even in urban skies. We've discussed this in the previous video. This is the Andromeda galaxy. Once you've noticed the Pegasus, Andromeda and Aries, we'll slowly move towards the northwest. Between Andromeda and Pleiades, just below Pleiades, you'll find a small V-shaped structure in the sky. This also looks like a cursive small letter R. We've told about this constellation to you in the previous video. This is the Perseus constellation. And we've also mentioned, if you remember, the second brightest star of Perseus was Algol, the star whose brightness kept changing. Perseus is called the Partha Nakshatrapunja in the Indian system, and Andromeda in the Greek mythology is his wife. Once you've spotted Perseus, if you continue further south of Pleiades, near the horizon, you will find the constellation Cassiopeia forming the M shape in the sky. Cassiopeia forms an M shape from the 5 stars that you can see, and the first 3 stars form an equilateral triangle. Stars 3, 4 and 5 form another triangle, which if when you break it into half and extend that breaking line towards the northern horizon, you will find a star that appears to be fixed in the night sky. This is the star Polaris, shining from 432 light years away. Polaris is the only star that remains fixed in the night sky, and depending upon where you live, Polaris may be situated higher from the horizon or a little lower. But this star remains fixed as all the stars rise from the east and set in the west. You can see Polaris fixed at one point. and that earns it the name the Dhruva Nakshatra. Once we've located the star in the north and the west, we'll slowly move back to Pleiades at our zenith, and right next to Pleiades towards the east, you'll find a yellowish star shining brightly. This yellowish star looks like it's a part of an A shape in the sky. The 5 stars that forms an A shape in the sky are nothing but the Taurus constellation. In fact, Pleiades is actually the part of the Taurus constellation, but this A shape or the Hades open cluster forms the face of the bull. When we say bull, we also need horns, right? So if you look at this V or an A shape that you see in the sky, you can see 2 more stars below it that form the larger A shape. These 2 stars form the horn of Taurus the bull. The bright star that I told you in Taurus, which is shining yellow, is the star Aldebaran or the Rohini Nakshatra. Rohini Nakshatra is located 66 light years away from us and is 44 times the radius of the sun, which means you can fit 85,000 suns inside the star Rohini. If you look at the Taurus's horns, you will see that the tip of the horn towards the north actually is part of a structure that appears to be a pentagon. These 5 stars that form the pentagon is the Auriga constellation. Auriga is situated very close to Perseus, and the star closest to Perseus shining brightly in Auriga is Capella. In India, Auriga is called as Vijayasarathi and Capella is called Brahmahridaya. It's quite fitting to call this constellation Krishna in some cultures because Perseus' Partha, who was Arjuna, is very close to Krishna in the night sky. So once we have located Auriga, let's move towards the south and let's see what stars have appeared and disappeared from last month. Just below Pleiades, in the south, closer to the horizon, you will find the star which we discussed in the previous video, Achernar, shining closer to the horizon. We've told you last month that Achernar is part of the Eridanus constellation, which starts from the base of Orion, which we'll discuss in a while. The Eridanus constellation looks like a river made up of very dim stars, so it's quite hard to actually see the shape of the river, but the river ends at Achernar. Achernar is also called the Vaitari Mukha in the Indian system. We've also discussed another southern star in the previous video called Fomalhaut. If you remember, this was the star Meenakshi, part of the Pisces Australis, and this star has moved closer to the horizon this month. In fact, if you look towards the southeast, you'll find another bright star slowly rising from the horizon, but we'll discuss this in the next month as it will be higher in the sky and we can discuss about it then. So the south contains not very bright stars, very faint stars, so there's not much to discuss over there. But within that region is hiding the constellation of Aquarius, Pisces and Fornax, Cetus. Because the stars are quite dim, it's quite hard to imagine these constellations, so we'll move towards the east of Pleiades. Face towards the east and look at Pleiades, you will see Aldebaran and Taurus. Just below Pleiades, along with Aldebaran and the face of Taurus, we have a very familiar shape in the sky. This constellation is easily identifiable because of the 3 stars that appear to be in a straight line. This is Orion. Look closely and you'll notice that Orion is the shape of a hunter that appears in the night sky. If you take the 3 stars that appear in the same line as his belt, you'll find 3 more stars perpendicular to it which act as his sword tucked to his waist. There are 2 more stars towards the south of this belt forming the knee or the foot of the hunter, and towards the north of this belt you will find 2 more stars that form his arms or shoulders. Between these 2 stars you will find a small group of stars that appear to form his face, and from his shoulders you will see another set of stars forming a bow that he is holding. This is Orion the hunter. In fact, in some cultures, instead of a bow, he is imagined to hold a prey in his hand, while his other hand is holding a club Orion is one of the most beautiful constellations in the night sky, and we want to spend a lot of time talking about this constellation. There's a lot to discuss when it comes to Orion because there are a few stars in Orion that are very interesting, and we would like to discuss about them in detail. The red star that you see towards the north of the Orion's belt is the star Betelgeuse or Ardra Nakshatra. Betelgeuse is a large red supergiant star located 497 light years away, and Betelgeuse is so massive that if it were to be placed in place of the sun in our solar system, the star's radius would extend up to the orbit of Jupiter. In fact, Betelgeuse is said to be a super red giant at the end of its lifetime, so anytime soon it's going to explode. And when I say anytime soon, I'm actually talking about a few thousands of years. We'll just have to wait. But if it does explode and form a supernova that we expect it to, then it's going to shine bright even during the day. So this star is a ticking time bomb. Once you've noticed the red supergiant in Orion's shoulders, you will see that towards the south of the belt, you have another blue star shining brightly. This is the star Rigel. Rigel is farther away from Betelgeuse, located 862 light years away from us, and in the Indian system, it is called Rajanya or Vanaraja. So, we have a very hot blue star, we have a very old red star. But there's another beauty to Orion, that is in his sword that you see, with the made up of 3 small stars located towards the south of Orion's belt. If you look closely under clear skies, you will notice that the second star in the sword is not really a star, but is actually a nebula. This is the Orion Nebula. Also known as M42, the Orion Nebula is a cloud of gases so dense, spanning 24 light years. That's over 24 solar systems that you can fit within this region. And this gas is mostly made up of hydrogen, helium, and other ionized gases. These gases come close together and form a condensed structure that will eventually lead to the formation of stars. So it's quite apt that when we talk about Betelgeuse about to die soon, we have another part of Orion that is giving birth to the stars. Orion Nebula is the most studied nebula, and many astrophotographers begin with Orion as it's the most easiest to spot in the night sky. In fact, even in urban skies with enough light pollution, this nebula can be spotted using the naked eye. If the night is clear, you'll find a beautiful fuzzy patch that is this nebula showing itself. So, once you've seen Orion, we have more stars towards the eastern horizon. Looks like a dog, but we'll discuss about it in the coming months as they'll be higher in the sky. Once again, to summarize, this month in the night sky, you will find Pleiades at the zenith. Towards the west, as the sky will be setting soon, you have the square of Pegasus, the Andromeda constellation, the Andromeda galaxy, and the Aries constellation. Towards the north, just below Pleiades, you have the Perseus constellation with Algol changing its brightness every 100 days. You have further towards the horizon, you have Cassiopeia forming the M shape in the sky, and you also have the constellation of Auriga towards the northeast. Just next to Pleiades, towards the east, you have the Taurus forming the V-shaped face of Taurus, with Aldebaran shining brightly in that constellation. And further towards the east, you'll find the beautiful Orion trying to hunt. In fact, in the Greek mythology, Orion the hunter was after the 7 sisters, that is also another name of Pleiades. The 7 stars of Pleiades visible to the naked eye are said to be 7 sisters in the Greek mythology, and you can see Orion chasing towards them in the night sky. With passing time, Pleiades moves further towards the west, you'll see Orion following them, and this is how it goes. Towards the south, again this month, we don't have a lot of bright stars. We'll come back to them the next month, and let's see if the sky changes in the next month. If you're watching on YouTube, go out and check out these stars for yourself. You can listen to this audio guide on Spotify. Before you sign up, I'd like to tell you that the astronomy calendar for 2021 is available on the PAC website, and you can download them and print them in A3 sheets and use them as posters. You will also find monthly calendars of astronomical events posted on the PAC website, and to get all these information, all you need to do is follow us on our various social media handles or subscribe to our YouTube channel. With this, we will sign off for the month of January. See you next month with the sky of February.